Okay. YouTube was bugging again. It didn't want to let me in. Sorry I'm late, everybody. I've had a very foggy in the head day. It's been extremely, you can't tell, but it's been very dark and gloomy, kind of misty, not really rainy. It rained yesterday. And I had my dinner, and so then I went to the fitness room, and I actually was able to do a 25-minute workout. Plus, it takes me 2 or 3 minutes to walk to the fitness room. And I was surprised at how much strength and energy I had. I had a protein shake this late morning, and then I had actually 2 organic lean ground beef. Hello, patties. Chicken protein might not be enough for me. Somebody left. Please say hello when you stop by. Just say hi. Pick an anonymous icon. You don't have to, you can be anonymous. So I went to the Dollar Tree and I did a little mini haul and I made a short. And I didn't show that on my community posts. Also, I did a live interview with someone a few days ago, and it was a little bit spontaneous. And so, by the time I spend an hour or more coloring my hair and then drying it and then doing my makeup and such, I haven't done anything today. So it was a really good interview. It was my second one with Alfredo Martinez on dark sorcery, and I did share that on my community post so you can see the thumbnail. He's really good at making thumbnails. And basically, I talked about how really working with the Goetia is working with astrology. A lot of what we do is astrological magic, even if you're just working with planets. And if you haven't, if you started working just with the moon, then you're going to progress. You need to progress to working with the planets. And then you can start looking at that in your natal chart. So as I have progressed, I talked about, hi, please say hi. You can be anonymous. How working with the energies in your natal chart, when you learn more about it and it's hitting a certain house, you can harness that energy, or you can be aware of what's going on. And we talked about Black Moon Lilith, which is going to help you really, really evolve. And this is what I learned. So I talked about how Lilith came to me and how I began to work with my chart magically. There's just a little bit of the pomegranate juice I have left here with some boiled water to try to get rid of whatever the city puts in the water, and lemon to really neutralize that. What I did a few summers ago, though, was make some tea at night with, I think it was milk thistle, which is very good for the liver, and something else which I have run out of that I need to figure out how to get. It's almost like little tiny stems of a flower, and it helps to regulate your blood sugar. So I don't wake up in the middle of the night hungry or wake up in the morning hungry. Let me see if I can go get that little package. I'll be right back. Well, I can't find it right now. But this is the powdered milk thistle that I got at the local farmer's market. Out here it's called Pomegranate Market. This is milk thistle. And I put that in a little strainer over a cup. And then I can't find the package of the other thing that I was adding to it. I'm going to have to Google what types of herbs or flower stems will help to regulate blood sugar. But milk thistle is very good for the liver. Oh, can't believe that. And then I pour the hot water over those two herbs in that strainer and let it strain through the cup. And then I drink that before I go to bed. So apparently I've been really needing more protein, which I'm not surprised. So let's see here. Turn up the volume on my phone just for a second. I use my phone to look at your questions and your comments. And so then it will show when I go to my community posts. There I am. Live. There I am. Live. All right. So I got that ready to go. You know how sometimes you don't want to do something and then you finally decide to do it, and maybe a half an hour or later that day, something good happens. So I figured, hi, say hello, you can be anonymous. If I just get on, like I have before, and just start talking for 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe somebody will stop by and they'll ask a question, and I'll try to answer it. But right now I'm just talking about my fitness routine. And you can't tell. Oh, no, I was going to talk about my Dollar Tree haul. When I had the interview, we were using a new program, and so the sound was bad. So I'm going to have to invest in a lapel mic. So I got this one at the Five Below, and it was $5.55. And I saw someone actually demonstrating it. She was holding it in her car. She was making a video. And you know what? I kind of think I might want to talk about swapping timelines. This is a very interesting subject that people are talking about. I think it's one way to describe how people get caught up in relationships with people that are selfish. They only want what they want, or they've targeted you. I dropped something. What did I drop? They've targeted you, and they've been flattering you and flirting with you, and you've gone out with them, and they've been on their best behavior, or maybe they've been generous. But the thing is, this idea of swapping, when someone is really wanting to insert themselves in your life, basically kind of just take over your life, come into your life where you have achieved things that they haven't yet achieved. Say you have a bigger apartment, a nicer car, maybe you have, 2 cars, maybe you have an attached garage. This was my case. And somebody really wants to just make their life easier, right? So they're going to take advantage of you and they're going to lean on you. Now, in the worst case scenario with this time swapping thing is where people actually end up making a situation somehow where you have to break up and you leave and they get the apartment. So it's hard to explain, but in my way of thinking, it's just letting someone take advantage of you. Hi, I'm talking about time swapping. I was talking about how I did an interview on dark sorcery the other day, and we were using a new program, so my sound was really bad. So I thought, okay, now I'm going to have to go invest in a lapel mic. So I got this one at the Five Below, and I saw a lady using it, and the sound was really good. She had it plugged into her phone, and she was in the car talking about time swapping. And this is a little clip that you could put on this to pin onto your lapel, but she was just holding it while she was talking. So I'm going to, the lady at the dollar store took it off, so I have to try to figure out how to put it back on. Then you just take this part here and if you have an Apple phone, you have to use this attachment. But if you don't, if you just have a Motorola like me, you just take this and plug it into the bottom of my phone and it's ready to go. Now I have to figure out how to configure it, to my phone and I guess do the audio settings. But that's what I'm going to probably have to use from now on when we use this Microsoft Teams program. So this girl that was talking about time swapping, her sound was really good. Hey, for $5, not bad. She mentioned people want to drive your car, right? Or they'll ask you for your car, so you're maybe struggling financially. And this is where women can get themselves into trouble. And they offer to fix it up if they want to have partial ownership, or they ask you to give it to them if you have a second car, whatever. But yeah, if they're excited about your car and they want to drive it all the time and you're letting them drive it, and you shouldn't be doing that. And this is where women let their empathy get the better of them. Sorry, I just got out of the fitness room, so my hair's falling down. And I also got a new riser for my laptop. It looks like a big butterfly. And so then it's more raised than it was on my phone stand. Oh my gosh, I have all the gadgets now, don't I? So here, I've got my phone on the phone stand. I think I've got everything now, which is great. I don't have a tablet. My tablet broke. I'm on a Acer Chromebook. What do you call it? It's more like a laptop. But I need to get another type of a laptop. But so far, so good doing my lives here on YouTube. You know what? I unplugged my microphone. Can you hear me better now? Yeah, it should be. It's on. It's on. All right. Now we got some better sound. Right? Give me a thumbs up, please, if this is a better sound. I forgot to plug my microphone back in. See, I got all the gadgets now. I hope you appreciate what I'm doing for you. So time swapping, she said, basically where women get themselves in trouble. We're talking about women, okay? It's when they allow a man to be impressed by what they have and, they want to move in and then they want to drive your car and this and that. And they start asking you for money. You really should not have let them to move in. So then one woman here on YouTube has talked about how she did that years ago, not once, but twice. And one day she came home and the guy had just rearranged her furniture, I think. And then I think one day bought a different sofa, and it didn't work out. You know, it's a, hi, say hello. It's a situation where a man is going in to enjoy everything that a woman has to provide: a house, apartment, furnishings, um, car, garage, whatever. And I wasn't sure what to talk about tonight. So I went to the fitness room. Time was moving slow. It's so dark and gloomy and misty today. Got up at 7, took a nap at 11. But I had a protein shake, and then I had a organic beef, 85% lean patty for breakfast, and then another one for a late lunch, early dinner. And apparently I needed all that protein because I was on the treadmill and the glider for about 28 minutes altogether, which I've never done. And I could have gone longer, but I thought, well, let me just go and see if I can hop on the live. So now that's called time swapping. That's considered some type of a negative magic. It's really just somebody being selfish, wanting to insert themselves into your life, take advantage of what you have. Now, in some cases, I suppose they want to learn from you. There is a case here of a magician that I have followed for several years who took someone in when he was lonely, and he didn't want to make him an apprentice, but he had him as a friend. So, the guy was hanging around every day, and he had basically free room and board. So he had him helping him out with admin and setting up his rituals. I never had a good feeling about him. He was way too freaking quiet. He was way too polite, sitting in the back, observing, right? But they couldn't find anything really on him that they could prove was bad. And he was behaving himself in the house. So he never propositioned a wife. He never made any attempts to go forward to their female daughter because he had a plan. And that plan was to take over this man's life. And he had already known him for several years. They had been communicating. And he came up with a sob story one day after his marriage split up that he really needed to have a place to stay for a little while. Oh, no, this was before the marriage split up. So the wife agreed he could stay on the sofa for a little while. But, I mean, he ended up staying for more than a few months. Well, I'd say about 9 months later, after the wife had left, and this guy was learning probably a year and helping him build a new website and learning the rituals, just basically soaking up everything, observing and learning, had access to usernames and passwords and even information to accounts. So he had to learn the hard way for the second time that even when you give your partner access to that and they are secretly planning to leave you, I hate to say, sometimes you need to have a way to go in and just change the usernames and passwords from time to time, because people are human. And if you don't have the ability to read minds, and you're not reading tarot, and you're not getting help of warnings from your guides or from somebody else in the magical community, it happened to my sister. Her husband went in to just clear out her 401k. And she called me and I said, if he's been having access to your username and your password for that, and he's been requesting money to fix the kitchen and it's never been fixed, you better call the company and check. if he's tried to do anything. Have you changed your username and your password? Because she had filed for divorce and got him to move out finally. She said, no. I said, you better call the company. So she did, and they were very nice, and they were staying up with her until about midnight to make sure that they found out he had made a transaction request and, would go through by midnight. And they intercepted it and blocked it and saved her a ton of money from being taken out of her 401k. So, yes, and especially if someone has declared that they want a divorce, and you haven't gone in to check things out. Once he was gone, she found out he had quit his job for an entire year and had access to their accounts and was just taking her money out to pay bills, going into the 401k, right, to get money to fix the house and using her money to pay the bills. So, I mean, if it sounds selfish or narcissistic, it is. He was an alcoholic narcissist. He was an addict. Nothing was ever enough for him. And so, my sisters had to learn things. She's helped me to learn things. And our mother was, we're ACAs. So I've talked about that. You have to be careful because in this world, there's givers and there's takers. And if you're a giver, you need to learn, when it is appropriate to give and when it is appropriate to take. A man should be approaching a woman to let her know that he's interested, he likes what she's doing, or he's interested in her, right? Hello, hi, my name is such and such. And showing some type of consistent ability to converse with you and not ignoring you or trying to get your attention. These are all red flags. Now, Shira 7 talks about these types of things, I think, pretty much every day. So you could go and watch her. She is sometimes criticized for telling women to just basically not do much at all. You'd have to see. She has built up her own little business, first online, but then she wrote a book. Then she designed a t-shirt. Then she got a line of cosmetics, and she encourages women to work on their health and their physique and their looks. Now, only a secure man is really going to want to have an attractive woman on his arm. Okay? So, you need to keep that in mind. If you feel like you have to dummy yourself down, dress yourself down just to make your man feel secure. And I'm not saying we have to doll up like a celebrity going on the red carpet every time we go out. We don't need to put on red lipstick every time we go out. Then we're basically kind of maybe trying to get too much attention. But, if I'm going to be on camera, the lights can wash you out. So you have to put on, and the more makeup you put on and such, people will want to stay engaged and watch you. So now this magician, like I said, one day this guy that was staying with him just couldn't behave anymore. And he made an inappropriate advancement to one of his magician friends' daughters when he went over there for a visit. And then came back, and before this magician could find out, he had gone to his room, packed his bags, and left. So the friend called, and told him what had happened. And he went to confront him. He was gone, and he found out his account had been wiped out, his blocked from his own website. See? So it happened twice to him, and he's finally learned no matter what, he has the right to keep his username and password private and to himself, or change it every couple of days. If you have had problems in your relationship, but you think you've mended it, but in the back of your mind, you're questioning whether or not it's going to last, you have to, uh-oh. Oh, no. Don't do that. What are you doing? I tried to get my new little Dollar Tree flare here. I wanted to show you this. Can you see? They got these now in the dollar store where it's like a fire flare. I think it came on for a second. So that's one of the new finds I found. I love these things. Look at that. You don't have to have a fire if you don't want it, or if you can't have it where you are, right? And then the other thing I got at the Dollar Tree, I showed on my short, is this beautiful lotus flower candle holder for tea light candles. And it's just glass, but it's very similar to the ones I've seen at Hobby Lobby that are like crystal prisms. And this was $1.25. Don't take the dirt out. Okay, I'm gonna have to get rid of this. There. And then I got some candles, which you'll have to go and watch my short, because I got some two pink candles that are twisted, and then 2 lavender candles that are ribbed. Those are unique, I think. They hold the energy and the oil energy in a unique way. I call those twisty candles vortex candles. So lemon in your water is very good. If you're exercising every day and you're drinking lemon water 3-4 times a day, and you're not really having any sugary drinks, you can lose weight. And I have to figure out how to get this other flower stem. It might have been yarrow that you combine with milk thistle, and then it regulates the blood sugar so that I'm not hungry in the middle of the night. I don't wake up hungry. So a few summers ago, I was doing this, and I lost an extra 10 pounds that I had gained from being sedentary. Hi, say hello. And I maintained it. I think I lost say hello. Lost another pound when I was going to Planet Fitness for about 9 months. I was working on strength training and building muscles because, I felt like it was good for my bones. But as it turned out, I had been told I needed to move in the month of April. So I had to move myself, and I had been given a truck. So, I mean, that's pretty remarkable, for someone who's mature, to move all the furniture I had into the truck, out into storage, back out of storage, back in the truck, and then out again, and then up 3 flights of stairs. Now, I was getting a little bit too muscular, so I've stopped doing that, but I am continuing to work. I got to focus really on my abs. When everything is nice and toned, except your abs, it's because you're not exercising your abs. So I've been talking about my fitness routine, and I got a lapel mic and swapping timelines. What does that mean? And in my opinion, it means someone is allowing someone to enter their life and just kind of manipulate them in subtle ways to do certain things, or just observe them. I just told the story about someone. Thanks for the thumbs up. who was just hanging around, pretending to be a friend and observing this person, learning everything about his business, and then locked him out of his business, wiped out his account, created a new name for the website, claimed that he was still working with that man, but wasn't. The website name had changed, and then was just offering like 50% off of rituals, which that man never does, and no videos or pictures. That's highly suspicious. So sometimes it happens to us more than once, for us to learn the hard way that even if you have a commitment with someone, if things have not been going well, and then they seem to be mended, but you never know for sure if they're really in it to stay. Unfortunately, you have to be careful because even though people know they shouldn't be taking money before you go to court for divorce, they do it anyway. They don't want to sit around and wait for the system and the process and maybe not get anything. But yeah, for a guy friend to do that to another guy was just very surprising to him. And unfortunately, you just can't give access to your money accounts. Your social media is one thing. You can always change the name and build a new website. But so sometimes in seeking help and giving someone access to admin, and I've done it. When I had my skin salon, I gave someone access to my website and gave her admin access. And she changed the color scheme. And then she put some company that she was working for on there, and it was a network marketing company. Now, I put on my doTERRA at the time I was in doTERRA, but I never gave her permission to put on her network marketing company. And she just couldn't understand that when I told her, why are you changing the color scheme? Well, because it looks better. Why are you putting your network marketing company on my website? Well, you've got your doTERRA. I said, this is my business. So, you give access to someone you don't know and you can't talk to them. You can't get through to them. They're just not thinking straight. When somebody's crossing your boundaries like that, look out. Look out. Because later she accused me of not paying her for a service she performed. But she cashed the check immediately. And then she started complaining I was charging her too much money for her room. I said, well, you agreed. You want to go back to where you were in a smaller room for more money? And then she just looked at me. So, yeah. I was in too big of a hurry to get somebody to come in with me. Judge a character. As the Grinch said in that movie. Well, I assumed that because she had been in business and she had just gotten out of beauty school, you can't assume. If you've ever seen The Odd Couple, one of the men had to go to court and someone said, well, I assumed. And he said, and he wrote on the board, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. That's so great. Hello, somebody. Linda, hello. Great Odd Couple clip. You know it, yeah. I remember the audience reaction too. It was like, So yeah, try not to assume. I got my new Dollar Tree lantern. Did you see that flickering? I can't don't know which way there. Isn't that cool? I love those things. $1.25. I like to decorate my balcony, and I had those things on my patio. And then I showed I don't know if you saw this, I showed the beautiful little lotus flower tea light candle holder. I just got one for now. $1.25. Then I got some candles because there was two for $1.25, which is a very good deal. Candles are not cheap. And I have a candle habit, so I have to stock up on candles. I did a candle working last night because it was a Saturday, and I do a lot of banishings. And it was a totally clean burn, and this was a 6 or 7 inch candle, and it was a completely clean burn. That's a very good sign. And you may or may not have seen my live a few weeks ago where I showed a candle wax image that was left behind on another Saturday night for a different kind of a working, and it was actually a black dragon. So, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. What I actually did last night was something new I've never done before. It wasn't a healing with Raphael. It was actually more of a getting rid of a parasite, which I've never really learned about or studied about. But I followed this magician. He's got a video on how to work with this particular entity. And I followed it and I did it. And so with the candle being a clean burn, I feel very, very good about it. That's a very good sign. And I've been doing candle magic now for probably, well, at least since the year 2000 or 2001. Yeah. I should open a store called My Candle Habit. Then I could finance my candle habit. It's fascinating. I love it. There's so much that can be revealed to you by working with candles, putting your energy in it, and watching the flame, watching the smoke, reading the wax afterwards, or finding a clean burn. Which, I mean, when you have a candle that's freestanding, was just stuck to the bottom of the plate. Oh, I bought a new plate too. A big candle holder plate. The only thing left was the 2-3 drops that I made when I burned the bottom of the candle to stick it there, freestanding. When you have a freestanding candle that burns completely clean, nothing, very good sign. So Saturday's the day, and I've been doing these types of workings on Saturday for many years. I found out that that was something that I can do. Now, I had an interesting dream, but I'll just have to see what transpires in the future. I'll have to say that in the matter of swapping timelines, when someone's trying to get you to think the way they think or say things, right, like a certain topic to your audience, they're really trying to use you as a mouthpiece, right? Live vicariously through you. They don't, my mother did that. They don't necessarily have the desire or the experience to get on camera and learn how to talk and such. So they try to acquire, I don't know, it makes them feel good, I guess. But, on my coffee account, which I would like to work more on, I don't have a lot of people going. If you could go and check it out. I do have this psychic eye oil left over from when I had my Etsy shop. I've got 2 bottles, but I have a friend who loves it, so I really only have 1 bottle left. What she does is she takes a drop and puts it on her third eye and her wrist, lights a candle, and then plays her singing bowl. So it's her quiet time, it's her meditation time. And you can also use it for whatever workings you are doing, as far as gazing at the candle flame, meditating on a candle flame, setting an intention, for something that you need or you want. So, if you would like to share, if you do candle meditations, if you do candle workings, if you're wondering, what is magic? Magic is the act of making things happen, the art of making things happen. In other words, we are people who choose to be proactive instead of reactive. Now, sometimes when things do unexpectedly happen, we have to go to our altar and try to mitigate the damage, you know, counteract it, eliminate it, like I did last night. Someone had reached out to me and asked me to get rid of an organism, is what they said. I had no idea at the time what they were talking about or what they meant. And I did several workings to no avail. Nothing really changed. And I came to learn through a psychic I've been following online. She does collective readings, but sometimes they resonate with me. When she said more than once that someone had an attachment. And then Alchemy of Life stops by to visit with me quite a lot lately. He has been talking about parasites on his Patreon. Now, there's a way to do cleansings for parasites. Hi, there's 4 people. Hi, say hi. You can be anonymous. I was talking about putting lemon in your water or your sugar-free juice several times a day. You do that every day, that will help to really clean you out. And it takes a couple of weeks before you really start making a lot of trips to the bathroom, getting your colon cleaned out. And, you might eventually see something surprising. So that's a good sign. Apple cider vinegar. I saw apple cider vinegar gummies at the store the other day. That's another thing. And just starting to drink more water, at least 48 ounces or more throughout the day, every day, that can help. I used to get headaches. Part of that is dehydration. Lemon also seems to help. It's kind of a natural antihistamine with my allergies. So this is just another part of our practice in being a magical practitioner, is working to keep our body as clean and as healthy as possible. And I have been saying that I had to have a lot of protein today. So apparently chicken protein has just not really been enough for me. I had 2 organic lean beef patties so far today and a protein shake. So but then I was able to get on the treadmill and the glider for 28 minutes. And I could have done more, but I wanted to get up here and hop on. So that is a big, and that goes along with decalcifying your third eye, so that if you want to do a candle meditation or try to astral travel or have your third eye actually work for you while you're sleeping, DMT is released from our third eye. And because I've been doing this for so many years, it could be that I'm able to emit a certain energy as a medium while I'm sleeping. And this helps to, produce these images. I don't know. But last night was the first time I've ever done like the removal of some type of you could say like a curse, a spiritual parasite. This person had asked me, I want to live. Basically, it's killing me. I had no idea. what in the world? And it's taken months for me to actually realize, oh my gosh, now I think I know. Now, Alchemy of Life also uses sound frequency. And he talks about rife frequencies and crystal bowl frequencies. But some things are, I don't know. Someone would have to really listen to that every single night. And if it's only temporary, you might have to call on a spirit like I did last night to exorcise that person of that parasite. So, I don't know what's going to happen yet, but it could be that that's the entire reason why I was sort of led to have an encounter with this person. It's been a very distant type of an acquaintanceship. And I think he knew I could help him. It took a while for him to ask. But yeah, it just exacerbated the issues that he already has. So hopefully he can now continue with his healing journey and getting rid of some bad habits, without the impediment of that parasite, which was just, I think, making him very, very sick. Heavy duty stuff. All right. So I talked a little bit about swapping timelines. I don't know if you heard that. Have you heard of it? Have you heard of swapping timelines? And I was really talking about it pertaining to women, who have men come into their life that just want to take everything, use everything they have, take advantage of everything they have, right? They don't bring anything to the table. She-Ra 7, she's trying to always guide women. Her last video was, bring nothing to the table. Oh, she's kind of funny sometimes. But I'm at the point in my life really where, if I can't have someone who's going to engage in conversation with me in real time, and not just online texting or, commenting, right? It's in the shadows and doesn't come forward, and talk to me and engage with me. And yeah, I mentioned this admin co-founder of Dark Sorcery, who's actually been showing me support. And this is a vast difference from what this other person has actually been doing with me, because he had serious issues and needs. And at some point, it's just like, I need a couple months of a break from someone like that. It's very draining. So you got to take time in getting to know people. Anybody here familiar with parasites or sound frequency, or working with a spirit to remove any type of a parasite? I think we can attract spiritual parasites of a lesser or a greater degree, like I said, when we're all backed up and we're not getting, things moving every day. One time our front bathroom toilet was backing up. We had just moved our mobile home and things weren't working right. And I couldn't stand that. And one day I was outside watching them work under the house. We were changing the pipes. I went to bed that night and I saw in my mind, in sleep, in a dream, 3 creatures going under that house where the feces was and coming out and going in. Weird looking creatures. And that's when I knew they were like spiritual parasites. I don't know if it was like a shaitan, if you've ever heard of like working with the jinn, there's certain really low level jinns, shaitan, something like that, where you use feces to attract that jinn and you want them to attack someone, right? And really make them sick. That type of a thing. And I was just weirded out and I thought, this is real, there's different kinds of spiritual entities. I had a friend who could see creatures that were on people that were in assisted living. The ones that were depressed, he said, one had like this huge crab spiritual thing attached to the side of its head. So there's one reason to work to develop clairvoyance. You can see those things and maybe do a spell to get rid of that parasite, or go over and smudge them or put some oil. But that's another thing, that a psychic working with oils and herbs to develop your third eye for clairvoyance. That's another form of healing. And he'd seen other creatures that were on different parts of somebody's body where they were having their sickness. That was many, many years ago, before I opened up, with all my clairs. So and I didn't not believe it. I just thought, wow, this is a really weird universe we live in. I lived in a haunted apartment after I left my marriage, and I could see the things that were around in the building, in the apartments, not just hear what they were doing, but I could see them floating from the bedroom to the kitchen. That was one wild and crazy ride, I'll tell you, living in that place. I finally got us out of there because they were affecting everybody's sleep by turning people's car alarms on day and night, and then turning on the fire alarm. It was an old house converted into apartments. Turning on the fire alarm day and night. So my friends couldn't help. They said it was just really too serious. We found out that land had been cursed. I believe now, years later, but it was cursed by some Indian shamans who dedicated their afterlife to haunting that place, because there was a lot of cold-blooded murders that had happened in that area, and there was always police coming to different houses and parties with people getting drunk and causing problems, and then people not much farther away getting in fights or stabbing each other. This is not just because they've been drinking. They've been sometimes led by the spirits of the house or the land to drink, to destroy their life. So yeah, alcohol pokes holes in your aura, and that can make you susceptible to spiritual parasites. And then, it wants you to drink more. And depending on your issues, like with my mother, she only felt calm and more, or I should say less insecure, when she drank. Never had a drink in my life. Wow, good for you, Linda. I didn't. until much, much later into my life because of how my mom was. I took myself to Cancun after I sold my mobile home. That's where I got this bracelet. And I asked about tequila. I asked the resort manager about tequila. Is it true? It makes you crazy. There's a worm in the bottom. And he said, no, no, if it's been properly stored and made and all that. So I had a margarita and I really enjoyed it. That's it. I had one. I might have had one the next day. Oh, and I came from a drinking town. Well, that's the reason why, isn't it? You saw things. I saw things as a young girl. My grandfather, my step grandfather, was a drunk. He caused a lot of problems. And then, of course, things happened when my mother was drinking. She went from a happy drunk to an angry drunk, which is what she really was deep down inside, right? So I have my own trauma as a child related to alcohol. And then even though she stopped drinking, her behavior, her insecurities continued. And later on, my sister told me we need to go to Al-Anon because we're ACAs. And I didn't know what that was. So, yeah, I went on that journey for 3 months. But it wasn't until much, much later that I realized my mother was a narcissist. Just never felt the need for it, right? I was goofy enough already without it. Well, good for you. That's wonderful. You're not suffering from those deep, deep insecurities that those people are. They find their confidence in a bottle. My mother even said that one day. So, are you at all interested in meditation or singing bowls or working with your third eye? Do you have an altar and do you work with it? It's a sacred space where you can focus, when you light a candle for your intention. Are you familiar with parasites, spiritual and physical? Is all of this news? Or have you heard about these things before? I've always loved sound. My parents were musicians, so I grew up in a house of music. Later on in life, I started listening to crystal bowls. I I've heard about parasites, of course. Physical, yes. And those can actually start out as spiritual and they become attached for so long that they affect you physically, like the acquaintance I was talking about. It's just, causing terrible issues. But since I've done this working now and had a very clean burn with the candle to this spirit that actually removes curses and its attachments like parasites, spiritual parasites, that this will be lifted from this person. And they can more easily deal with the other issues they've got without having that additional issue. And sometimes people are dabbling in magic and they don't know what they're doing. They're desperate for an easier life and they call on an entity for something very big and dramatic, and it ends up not to be a good thing. But we all make mistakes. I don't see I didn't see why this person should have to really suffer, like he was asking me, I want to live. This thing was killing him, you know. He made a mistake. So I don't see why, I feel like why shouldn't they have a chance to be forgiven and get this thing go back where it came from so he can deal with his issues. Without that, that's my mindset. I'm a psychic healer. Well, we live in a world full of energy and mysterious things, and I think it's good to learn how to open your third eye and learn about these things. And like I said, the person who has been coming regularly and engaging a lot is Alchemy of Life. If you want to check him out, he does a lot of sound healing work, talks about rife frequencies, and even parasites. There's a couple of Alchemy of Lives on YouTube. You have to look for, I'm not exactly sure how it is exactly spelled, but he is a man of color, so maybe that would help. And he also has a Patreon, Alchemy of Life, and that's basically where he will lecture or play the rife frequencies for people to experience or talk about how to get rid of parasites spiritually and physically. Because it starts out spiritually. I'm convinced, okay? Because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So everything starts spiritually first and then eventually gets into the body. I'm going to be juicing my carrots and my cucumber tonight before I go to bed. That gives me the magnesium I need after a workout. And then probably going to steep some of that milk thistle for my liver. So do you all like my Dollar Tree finds? I go to Hobby Lobby sometimes. They don't have candles on sale like they used to all the time. But sometimes I go there for certain decorative items and to see if their candles are on sale. I should talk about candle magic next week. Different things I've experienced with the flame, the candle, the images left by wax. And I did do a live on ceromancy, which is reading the images left by wax. I think last week or the week before. These weeks are going by so fast. So I do have an account on Coffee, which is, there's two coffee accounts. I know one is COFFEE, but the one I'm on is KO-FI. That link should be in the description. On that account, which I'm using right now as my website, I do have the Goddess Astarte pendants, Goddess Astarte kit with everything you would need to get started. And then I have my fiery wall of protection oil. I have services you could purchase if you wanted return to sender. If you feel like things have been happening in your life that are not normal, they're like a domino effect, one thing after another, and you don't know how to sit and banish negativity, then I could do a return to sender with a fiery wall of protection so that it doesn't happen again. Cute Dollar Tree finds. I love the Dollar Tree. Thank you. Oh, it was the week before. You saw it. Wasn't that amazing? That dragon. That was for this person, actually, one of his issues. And it showed me that he's actually got a powerful ability to transform, but he's got a lot of issues. He's got a lot of peeling of himself that needs to be done before he can stand up and open those wings and fly. Yes, and you'd shown me before. Oh, okay. I can't remember nothing. Too much going on. So, do you like working with candles? I know a lot of people have a candle habit. They love candles. They don't really know why. They're not necessarily meditating with them. But there was a commercial, an infomercial with Kris Jenner years ago, and she was promoting something called Magic candles. And I thought, boy, you don't know how true that is, Kris. If you only knew. And they talked about how one woman had a problem and she used a magic candle to help her and I guess recite some things and focus as the candle was burning. And the problem was really solved. I don't know if it was a medical issue with the family or finances, but really that's the power of the candle flame activating your pineal gland. Really, your third eye. Did you ever see that commercial with Kris Jenner? Magic candles? Infomercial. Remember the days when they had infomercials for like 30 minutes? I love those things. No. Oh, if you go to YouTube and you type in Kris Jenner infomercial magic candles, I think you'll find it. So, Linda, have you stopped by, I guess, a couple of weeks, but I don't believe you engaged. I don't remember. Um, do you stop by from time to time, or has it just been lately? Are there videos on my channel that you particularly find interesting? Are you a subscriber? They still have infomercials. That's how I learned about trikes or trachea. Hmm. Trikkes. I'll have to look that up. I don't know what that is. All right, so infomercials haven't gone away. I don't have cable. I haven't for many, many years. I also gave up my Hulu and my Disney Plus because it really was a distraction. And for me, as I downsized into a studio to try to save some money, and focus more on getting rest and going to work, as well as promoting my online dream recall course and start, adding to my YouTube channel these lives, interacting with people instead of just sitting in front of the boob tube. You've seen my Trikey neighbor. Oh, Linda. Hi, Linda. My neighbor, Linda. Oh my gosh. I didn't recognize your last name. Thank you. This is wonderful. You're such a nice person. I appreciate this. I know you're a Pisces. Actually, as we get older, my mother became very, very psychic as she got older. she'd call me and ask me what, I had this incredible dream where I saw someone who was so sad that they weren't able to be with you. So she was picking up on somebody that she didn't even know. So yeah, we can become, well, she was also a hermit. So, she was very isolated and had lots of time to reflect. And so she was really becoming more and more intuitive or psychic. Well, Linda, this is an interesting thing for me to realize here. I thank you so much for coming by and engaging. It helps my algorithm. I try to tell people, say hi, or at least just put a period, anything. It helps the algorithm. And you stop by and you give me a thumbs up. And you're such a wonderful person. I thank you very much. And I'll say, unless you have a question, my goodness, I've been talking for an hour. Maybe we'll talk some more on our phone, neighbor. I'm going to say so long, everybody. I'm blushing, huh? Oh, your trike. That's your scooter. Yeah, she's got a super duper scooter. All right, everybody. Next week, I think I'll come on and talk about all the interesting things that can happen with candles at your sacred space. Say hi to the kitties. All right. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Stay calm, carry on, and I will see you next week.